This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your business. Hey guys, my name is KP and I like to make tiny furry things. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong channel. Let's change that. I've been really into watching Dina Norland's work on YouTube. I love watching her random creature designs, and I've been really itching to give it a shot myself. And so that's what we're going to be doing in this video. We're going to be picking a bunch of different creatures and trying to mash them to make a new creature and see what comes out of this. So let's get started. May the odds be ever in my favor. I'm scared.
You should be, actually.
Maybe this wasn't a good idea.
No, it's a great idea. It's a cute version.
Oh, we got Panda.
Oh, Panda! Everybody loves the Panda.
Okay, we got Panda. I'm gonna shake it. I don't even know if this will actually hit.
Okay, well, the tracking on that was wild.
This one. A Fennec Fox.
Okay, wait, did you show on camera?
Oh, sorry, Fennec Fox.
That, I'm in love. I'm not letting you change it. That's happening. Panda Fennec Fox. I don't know what you're gonna do. Good luck. Big-eared panda. Oh, wait, no.
You don't want a big-eared panda?
I don't know. In my mind, it's kind of creepy.
We'll see what happens. I'm gonna pick a third one. Come out! Something fall! Clouded Leopard.
Ooh.
Okay, we're gonna see what I can come up with this. We got Fennec Fox, we got Panda, and we got Clouded Leopard.
To the drawing stage!
So I'm not really good at drawing, at least that's what I think personally, but I did want to kind of sketch out a general idea of what I wanted to go for because I felt like in this particular scenario, just kind of going ham for it wasn't really going to work out. So I wanted the Fennec Fox and the Clouded Leopard to be the very forefront of the design, but I wanted the coloring of the panda. And spoiler alert, I did end up going with a Red Panda instead of a normal panda because I couldn't get that one to work and it looked really weird, but I feel like the Red Panda suited the more jungle cat fox kind of vibe that it looks like it's going to end up being. And with all that figured out, it's now time for the first step, which is sculpting the head and feet. And the first step in that step is going to be getting some tin foil, aluminum foil, or aluminium foil, and I'm going to be squashing it into the rough head shape I'm going for. And I do this for a few reasons. The first, it's going to save me clay, because clay can get pretty expensive, and so we want to save as much as possible. Another reason is that it's going to keep the head as light as possible, specifically for an art doll. The common thing I see going on is that if your head is too heavy, it's going to flop forward, so we don't want that. So we want to use the tinfoil as a base to make the head as light as possible. Also, it's going to bake more evenly in the oven since it's not going to be just a solid block of clay. It's less likely to crack and be uncured like in the center of it. So all those reasons are reasons to use the tinfoil. So the design for the head, I wanted to go for a more Fennec Fox type of look. Now, honestly, this is going to be very stylized and very cutesy because that's what I wanted to make, but I wanted to make it based off of the animals that were picked in the cup. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of the Fennec Fox, but I do want to have a little bit of the Clouded Leopard coming through, mostly in the nose area. But honestly, while I was sculpting, I was just looking at ton of... say it with me, people, say it with me. References, people, references. I was looking at a ton of references of Red Pandas and Fennec Foxes and Clouded Leopards just to try to get my brain to look at all the different aspects of them, but also try to like merge them. This was quite a challenge for me, and through a lot of it I was like, this kind of just looks like something random I'm making. But then I was like, well, yeah, it's not going to look like anything in particular because you're combining a bunch of animals together, so no, it's not gonna look like anything you want. But it was quite the challenge for me to like get my mind to try to look at them, but then only enough that I wasn't trying to make one animal specifically rather than merging them all together. So it was really fun, and I hope you guys like the end result. And if you guys are interested, I would love to try this again. We could do this like epic style where we do like really big creatures or something, or we can do like mythical creatures. I just think it would be really fun. So let me know down in the comments if that's something you would like to see. I think it could be a cool series on this channel. Also, before I just let sculpting go, I'm pretty sure I knocked my camera a little bit more to the left, which means all the footage on screen is a little bit more to the right. So I'm sorry it's not centered and most of it is just happening on the right side of the screen. That's my bad. That's my bad. I'm a professional, I swear. For his feet, I decided to actually sculpt them right onto the ball and socket joints. I was afraid since they were going to be super small, that if I did it away from the joints, either it wouldn't fit or it would crumble when I glued the joints in. And so I figured if I just sculpted it right onto the joints, that it would be the best option and give me the highest percentage of success, that they wouldn't snap or anything. And according to research, it's totally okay to put these in the oven because it doesn't reach its melting point or anything near that. But you know, just do this with caution, because I'm still a little sus. I'm a little sus about it, but it turned out fine, so I guess it's okay. And even though it's a little sus, I bake them in the oven at 275 degrees Fahrenheit for roughly 30 to 45 minutes. And while the clay bits are baking, let's talk about this video's sponsor, Squarespace. So I've been wanting to update my website for a while, and luckily Little Tech Support knew just how to help me. Not that I really needed his help, because with Squarespace it's super easy to get started. Squarespace has a built-in e-commerce where you can offer physical and digital items, so I can sell my art dolls, track inventory, make labels, and give customer support all in one spot. And a small detail I really appreciate is their image scaling and cropping options, so I don't have to worry about photos getting cut off and having things look weird like this. They also have great portfolio designs, and this really helps me to show off the varieties of my work, both new and old. So if any of this interests you, head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/kpcreations to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. And thank you once again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. A lot of you guys have been asking me how I attach my armatures once my clay pieces are baked, and so this is all I do. I poke a hole with my scissors and I insert the armature into that nice and deep to make sure either a lot of the wire is inside the head or at least 1 or 2 segments of the ball and socket is in the head, and then I'll just fill that void with glue and insert the ball and sockets or wire in there and then just let it chill until it's cooled off, and it locks it in place really well. I've never had it pull out or anything like that, so it's a really good thing. And now that that's done, it's time to build the armature. Once the armature is all made, it's now time to build up the body, and for that I use quilt batting, and it just comes in these really big long sheets because it's, well, made for quilts, and I cut it in these really long strips and I'll wrap it around the body over and over until the body's built up to how I want. Now, something I always want to mention for anybody who's actually going to make an art doll is you never want to build the body quite as much as you want the final end result to be, because whatever fabric you're going to add is going to add an additional thickness to it, and so that's something you want to keep in mind, especially if it's faux fur. But like I always say, if you want chunk boy, you get chunk boy. If you want thin boy, you get thin boy. Okay, we support all body shapes and sizes here. I was like baby chunk. That's baby chunk boy. That's what I was going for here. And once the body is built up, it is now time to add fabric over that body. Now, I always say I'm not really good at sewing. I don't know what I'm doing, and you should probably be watching another channel who's a little bit more skilled in sewing, because I don't know how to explain it. But I know I want 2 different fur colors, and so I cut 2 different pieces of fur the exact length that I wanted them. So one goes right down to the edge of the bootay, and the other one goes all the way down to the tail. And so then I just make sure that they're trimmed to roughly be in line with the body shape, and then I sew one side. It's very easy to sew the first side because this side you don't really need to trim anything. I just sew it straight down the side, and then when I go back around the other side, that is when I have to start really trimming the fabric away to make sure it's nice and snug around the body. But it's just like any other videos I do, where I just jankily cut some pieces of fabric together, trim them so they're nice and snug around the body, and then sew them together. Like, It's easy because it's not like I'm making really fancy patterns or I'm just jingly putting things together until it works. Like that is my method. It is the go for it method and I will swear by it. For the legs, I'm doing just a very similar process where I'm taking the 2 different colors of fabric and I'm sewing them together to make sure that they equal the length of the leg, and then I'll trim them down so they're nice and snug around that leg, and I'll start sewing from the feet first, working my way up towards the body, and then to join the body and leg fabric together, I will use a ladder stitch, so it's really seamless and you can't really see where they joined at. Fur is really easy to hide your mistakes. Popping in for your not so daily reminder that if you've been thinking about doing something, if you've been watching these videos and you've been inspired or just you've been thinking about a project that you've really wanted to do, but you've been sitting in your head and thinking you're like,
I'm not good enough.
I can't do it. I don't even know where to begin. Just, I don't understand.
Hey, you stop that. You stop that right now, okay? I'm here to tell you that you can do the thing, okay? That project you've been thinking about it while this video is playing, go start it. Just write down, either plan it out, or maybe get a materials list that you need, or if you have everything, just start. The hardest part is starting. So look at here right now. I believe in you, and you can go do the thing, okay? I love you so much. I'd also like to share some wonderful art pieces. Look at these. Aren't they so good? Aren't they so wonderful? Mwah, mwah. If you have been making any type of artwork, if you've been making an art doll, or you're just inspired by me and would you like me to see it and possibly share it on my next video, please use the hashtag KPtutorials so that I can find it. Okay, let's get back to the video. Once the body is all sewn, it is now time to trim down all that floof so you can actually see the body. And for that, I use a pet shaver, which is something I highly recommend, at least if you're going to be making a few art dolls. It'll change your life. It takes all the fur off in bulk and very quickly, very evenly, and it comes with a bunch of different guards so that you can... I forgot I did that. So that you can... I can't even focus now, freaking airplane art doll. Guards so that you can pick different fur lengths that you want your sculpture to end up being. So if you want like a very fluffy neck, you can do a different guard size for that. But if you want a very sleek body, you can do a different guard size for that. So it's very versatile in that way. But that being said, I'm always going to go back in with scissors just to make sure that the legs joints, like the elbows and knees, are nice and prominent, and so that they show and look a little bit more realistic, as you can see here. So I wanted to keep my clay sculpture a little bit more simplified because I knew I was going to fur the face, but I need to make sure I get rid of all the gray colors so that way if I miss any spots that the gray won't shine through, it'll be this orange. And let me tell you, the orange took way too many coats because I was stupid and didn't prime it first, and so then I had to put like 12 layers because I'm stubborn. But yeah, this was just a really janky map for me to figure out where I wanted colors to go. Since all of it was going to be covered, I did not care how it looked. So let's go to this janky painted clay piece to a wonderful furred face with a nice snap transition. Look at that, beautiful. I mean, a little bit floofy, but we'll fix that with a little bit of the pet shaver again. And it was at this point that I was really like, yeah, this is just a random kitten fox looking thing that I've created. So I guess I'm on track with the random creature design. What kind of creature would you call this? Like, what would you name this if you had to name it? And what would you have done differently if you had gotten this prompt with those 3 animals? I'm actually really curious. Now it's time to add the main aspect of the clouded leopard, which are going to be its spots, and for that I'm going to be using an airbrush. And the airbrush I use is a dual action gravity feed airbrush, and it's just really fancy talk for a pressure controlled airbrush that you put paint in from the top. And so I'm going to be using this because it is the only way that I can reliably think of to add shading first and foremost, like you saw here with the shading in the inner ear, shading around the eyes so it wasn't that stark white. But the only way I could really think of to add the spots and have it like kind of transition from like a really stark line to faded. I'll post a picture here of how clouded leopard's spots look. It's not just like a really black spot. They kind of like fade. They're really pretty. They're really pretty animals. So I tried my best to replicate that. I think I could replicate it better if I had done it on a bigger art doll, but because it was so small, I had to get really in there. I was really trying. I'm really not good at working with small pieces. That's why all my pieces are big, because Working with small art dolls is also a challenge for me, so this was just challenges on challenges, but I think for the first time I've really done it, and for a small art doll and everything considered, I still think it turned out pretty alright. Once airbrushing is finished, it's now time to paint the little details, first starting with the eyes, and I was really back and forth on what I should do because on one hand I thought about keeping it natural since most of these animals all have some varying degree of brown eyes, but I didn't want the eyes to really blend in with the rest of the design. I wanted them to pop, and I felt like I didn't have a lot of colors with this design, so I went with green, which is something I tend to do. I just think the color really pops against this type of color palette. I don't know. So I went with green eyes. It looks cute and we're going for cute, so I thought, why not? For varnishing the eyes and nose, I am using UV resin. Now, if this isn't accessible to you or you're not old enough to be using it, I highly suggest using Liquitex High Gloss Varnish as it is a really, really good varnish and it gives a really, really high gloss. Just nothing beats the UV resin though. It's just like, ooh, that's shiny. We also can't forget the little paw pads. I just painted them with a lovely pink. I could have got a more realistic color again, but like, come on, pink paw pads. They're so adorable. And the final step is going to be adding the inner tufts that the ear have, especially with the Fennec Fox, which I'll post pictures here. They just have really, really fluffy little tufts in their ears, so I'm just gluing that in with a little bit of fabric glue and then trimming them down so that they fit inside the ear and look a little bit more realistic. But once that's all done, this little cutie is all finished and it's time to look at the final result of this little bean.